Hi, welcome to another episode of Contemplate This, where we discuss your spiritual questions. In episode 1, I discussed what is New Thought, and a question that comes up that's very much related to that often is, are we Christian or not? Do we rise up out of the Christian tradition? I remember years ago when I was educating my son about religion and holidays, that when Christmas rolled around and we were talking about it being about the birth of Jesus, he realized at some point that Jesus was not Christian. Jesus was Jewish, and it was a big shock to him. And it's interesting that the founder of our teaching, Science, Mind, and Spirit, Ernest Holmes, who we speak about a lot here at Mile High, he really said to us very clearly that while he felt that we were Christian, he also reminded us that Jesus himself was not Christian. Jesus was not promoting Christianity. That came later. Jesus was promoting a life where he promoted people to be in touch with the divine within them, the Father within that doeth these good works. And so Ernest Holmes would even say to us that he doesn't know of any tradition that was actually practicing what Jesus taught, because people have gotten wayward in their interpretation of the message of Jesus and in their practices as related to Jesus' ministry. So while Ernest Holmes would say that we are part of the Christian tradition, it is mostly because we believe that Jesus was one of the greatest prophets, if not the greatest prophet, to ever walk the earth. That he taught us about love, and he taught us about the connection that we all have to the divine presence. Where we are not Christian-like is that we have not fallen into or feel that the traditions that have us putting Jesus up on a pedestal, putting Jesus up to be something special and different than us. That's not something that New Thought or Science of Mind and Spirit really resonates with. While we support and love people who feel that way, and we don't criticize them and we don't make them wrong, we just have a different way of interpreting and seeing even the words that are in the Gospels that Jesus reportedly said, where he invited us all to remember who we are and reminded us that it's the Father within us that doeth the works, and reminded us that these things that he was doing that we can do and even greater. Those phrases are really important to us and seem to me to be the key of our relationship with that wonderful prophet Jesus. I also recognize for myself personally that a lot of the ideals that we attribute to Jesus and God and other prophets often are very separating and make them out to be up on a pedestal. And for me, any great spiritual teacher that I've ever come in contact with who's really grounded and centered in the love of this universe doesn't want to be put up on a pedestal like that. Wants to help people understand the notion of the truest love that's available to all of us, which is within us. That's what we believe Jesus taught. And that's why we are Christian, in that we absolutely support and believe in Jesus, but we're not traditional in our Christian beliefs. And so that's kind of where we stand with this one. I hope this week that you'll give this some contemplation. And if you have comments, please put them down below. I would love to hear from you. And if you have other questions you'd like to ask, we'd love to hear them. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great week.